Today, we're going to go for another right in the feels kind of episode. And today just isn't any other day. Today, it is episode 200. Almost feels impossible that I've created 200 pieces of content. This podcast started back in April with just this idea that I need to do it. I don't fully understand why. I don't understand where it needs to go. I just understood that I needed to do it. And so this entire journey has been about finding that purpose, connecting with that purpose, and really diving into the content now 200 times. If this is your first time here, thank you for joining us today here to celebrate episode 200. If this is your first time here, welcome. Lots of great content going back all the way since the beginning. 200 episodes between 5 and 10 minutes. A quick dose of fatherhood to give you the boost that you need. If you're a longtime listener, I absolutely thank you from the bottom of my heart to being a listener, a supporter, and a fan that reaches out and lets me know this content is hitting home for you. If you want to support the podcast, if you want to be a contributor to help make sure the mission of the Business of Fatherhood keeps going, I've recently signed up and tried out Buy Me a Coffee. If you would like to support the podcast and buy me a coffee, go to buymeacoffee.com/Ben Killoy. And you can put a little message there, and I'll go ahead and read that message out live on a future episode. Again, that is buymeacoffee.com/Ben Killoy. And I'll put a link down in the show notes as well. Guys, today's message, like I said, is going to be in the feels. This message got a lot of resonating when I posted it on my Facebook page, and it just really hits the core of a question that we don't really know why. We don't really know. It's even a question that we need to look. We don't really even know what it is we're looking for. And that question is this: is your dad proud of you? I remember that moment that this question became clear to me, because it's not a question that a lot of men even think about when you're first getting started. But I remember this moment like it was yesterday, because it was the day that I became a United States Marine. I remember seeing my dad in the bleachers and knowing they had moved a lot of mountains to be there with me in San Diego at my boot camp graduation. I knew that he was proud of me, not because of how he talked when I was in the room, but when I wasn't in the room. He would share with anyone visiting the farm, and there were always stories being shared. There was always letters that I was sending back that my dad would make sure everybody heard the latest news, and it was always a big ordeal. Now, that moment holds a lot of power for me as well in my life. Whenever I feel weak, whenever I feel alone, whenever I feel like I'm doing the wrong thing, I go back to that moment where I was proud of myself and my dad was proud of myself. It's a well of strength that I can draw on from whenever I need it. I will often carry a challenge coin in my pocket to remind myself of when I had that Eagle Globe and Anchor placed in my hand. But not everyone has this well. Depending on the relationship you've had with your dad, you might never have had a chance to see or feel this kind of feeling. Maybe it's because you have a dumpster fire for a dad, like I mentioned earlier. Those problems just galore within his life. Or perhaps you're on the other side, that maybe he passed away before he could shape the man that you could become. As a boy, we are wired to be led by a father. It is often why men find paths in faith, because they can feel it from the Almighty Father, maybe what they didn't feel in this world, and hold on to the belief and faith and meeting their first father in the next life. Depending on where you feel your answers are to this question, what you might not know is that this can show up in so many different other areas of our life in unhealthy ways. One place for me that it showed up was work, and it shows up for work for other men as well. I know this because I did it consistently. I was looking for approval from all the people around me to validate and say, Ben, I am proud of you. Now that sometimes came and sometimes didn't. And I didn't have this feeling because I didn't get the sense from my dad, but it was rooted in a deeper truth that you can't seek or give something until you first have it for yourself. Until you recognize that you are proud of who you have become, with or without someone in your life, the world will never be enough. Like love, it is hard to give love unconditionally to someone that you first don't feel the same way about yourself. The relationship with our dad, or the lack thereof, can shape our persona in most ways that people will never slow down and accept responsibility to improve. And to wrap up this thought, C.S. Lewis is famously quoted for, "You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending." The question I leave with you today, what new ending will you choose to start today to redefine maybe that belief with your dad, that relationship with your dad, and to answer the question, is your dad proud of you? Have a great weekend. I'll be back in with you guys on Monday.